LEGO has always had a problem with companies creating knockoff sets, but recently it has gotten out of hand. I don't know if you've noticed, but I sure have. So today I'll show you the craziest LEGO fakes that I've found. Over the years, LEGO has released dozens of submarines, and even entire themes set entirely underwater. While these submarines range from small personal exploration vehicles to massive scientific research labs and even stealthy spy subs, there's an element of fantasy baked into all of them, and that's exactly where knockoffs see opportunity. There's an entire subset of copycat brick brands that have created knockoff LEGO sets modeled after real-world military submarines. As one example, take a look at this survival warfare nuclear submarine set from a company named Shangyuan out of China. These guys have released hundreds of fakes over the years and make both military vehicles like this tank and unlicensed knockoffs like Heroes Assemble, which clearly features several Marvel characters. But this is hardly the only company making unofficial LEGO submarines. I mean, just take a look at these two examples from a Russian company called City Masters, which are released under a line simply called Army. This Russian nuclear submarine comes with 363 bricks and shoots a few missiles at a push of a button. This other, slightly smaller version comes from the same company and features 200 parts along with a large Russian flag on the side, which is likely a sticker. One strange thing worth pointing out here though is that these two subs are marketed to be for ages 4 and up. Do we trust 4-year-olds with nukes? Now, there's another company that has taken the military theme to another level though. Let me introduce you to SpitBrix. This company started off as a LEGO knockoff manufacturer, ripping off LEGO designs brick for brick and selling them under their own brand. However, several years ago, it seems that they went rogue and started making all sorts of odd sets. One of their main themes is the Tactical Espionage Action Combat Zones Fire line, which is quite the name. This theme focuses on recreating versions of real-world vehicles. For example, they've got this aircraft carrier, which actually looks pretty cool when assembled, as well as this artillery encampment, a World War I era biplane, an attack boat, and a truck transporting something highly toxic. However, there is one set from this line that might take historical accuracy a little too far. This set, titled Special Mission Zero, shows a motorcycle driving, sniper rifle wielding redhead assassin facing off against a soldier and a general driving a World War II style Jeep. While this by itself is nothing too odd, things get pretty questionable when we take a closer look at the general in the back seat. This guy with his brown shirt and cap and, well, let's just say recognizable mustache, bears more than a passing resemblance to a certain historical tyrant, which when paired with this set's theme is certainly no coincidence. It seems that this might have been a selling point of this particular set, since this figure is displayed front and center on the cover and side of the package. One other strange thing about this set that I need to point out is that for some reason this soldier has a yellow head while the other two figures have these light flesh skin tone colored heads. Why? Well, I don't know, and to be honest, I don't really want to know, but it's a surprisingly common occurrence among these sets for whatever reason. Now, before moving on though, I just have to talk about this set. Yeah, that's another Tactical Espionage Action Combat Zones fire set, but there's something a little off. Just check out that logo. That's not SpitBrix at all. It seems that IP thieves have no limits, and even rip-offs aren't safe from being ripped off. Apparently, a company named Q-Man loved Enlighten's line so much that they felt the need to make their own. Though these minifigures have got some of the weirdest heads I have ever seen. They're like halfway between a minifigure head and a LEGO Friends-style mini doll. It's just an odd look. But SpitBrix does more than just military themes, and has created some other interesting sets worth mentioning. Remember when I said that Enlighten stopped ripping off LEGO a few years back? Well, that's only kind of true. While they no longer create one-to-one knockoffs of existing LEGO sets, they seem to have no problem ripping off LEGO themes and designing their own sets based on them to skirt around the law. As one example, they have released several sets under the Knights line, which is a not-so-subtle take on LEGO's own castle theme. They've released sets like the Firing Range with this minifigure shooting a bow, the Forest Fort featuring a 2v2 battle, as well as this set simply called Fighting, which is a pretty accurate title, I'd have to say. These are all generic medieval sets that simply rip off LEGO's brick and minifigure design. One thing I need to point out though is the box art of the Fighting set. Yeah, that dude is blasting a horse with a cannon at point blank range. Now, I'm not a military strategist or anything, but that seems like overkill to me. To be honest, it's hard to claim that these generic castle sets copy existing LEGO models directly, but they get pretty close with ones such as the Lion Castle, which does bear more than a passing resemblance resemblance to LEGO's Lion Knight's castle, but it's definitely not identical. However, one of Enlighten's other lines is a bit harder to defend. Castle War of Glory is a strange theme. Obviously, it's heavily inspired by LEGO Castle, but as you can probably tell from this image, it also draws a lot from LEGO Nexo Knights. Yeah, I mean, this knockoff set is actually kind of cool and would fit right in with some of the older Nexo Knight sets, as would also this Eagle Destroyer, but it looks like the creativity ran out when it came to naming the characters, as we have Kyle and William as the protagonists versus an evil rock giant, which is an accurate name, I guess. There's also this interesting set which features what looks to be an elf with blue hair riding a white Bengal tiger or perhaps a wolf. Hopefully they have some magic powers or something, because the future is looking quite grim for them right now with those golden saw blades and flaming red gear hurling towards them. Yikes. I don't know if that elf survived, but this one is riding a green dragon, so that's pretty cool. The War of Glory doesn't end here though, as it also takes heavy inspiration from LEGO's most popular original theme, Ninjago. For example, this set, named Castle Silver Hawk, bears more than a passing resemblance to the Ninjago City of Styx build. While they're certainly not identical, both feature a mysterious island fortress with a prison cage hanging off the side, as well as two very similar boats. Not every knockoff brand is so creative though, and there are still countless of rip-off artists out there who just copy LEGO's original designs and sell off cheaper, lower quality versions of LEGO bricks. Of all the LEGO knockoff brands out there, Lepin might be the most well-known, and reviews of their quality run the full range from absolute garbage to, quote, just as good as LEGO. While I've never built one of their sets, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. This official review of the Lepin Super Star Destroyer over on Brickset says more or less the same thing. The quality was better than expected, but still nowhere near LEGO. Personally though, I'm a big fan of this so-called Star Winners. I bet they have good movies. Moving on, it's no surprise that Ninjago is a popular target for these scammers, and some of Lepin's most popular offerings are versions of Ninjago's large modular sets. Check out this version of Ninjago City, which uses the exact same box art, though it changes the brand to New Ninja Saga blocks. Also, I guess this is an easier build for some reason, because this set is for ages 6 and up, whereas the original is recommended for ages 16 and older. Huh. Lepin also sells its own version of the Dawn of Iron Doom, though this one absolutely butchers the minifigures of the Time Twins, changes the color of the scaffolding, and features a much less detailed build of the mech. There are literally hundreds of these kinds of Ninjago knockoff sets online, so always be sure to double check that you're buying an official LEGO product, and remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. On the topic of too good to be true though, I found a knockoff while researching this video that I really wish LEGO actually made. Over on Amazon, there's a company called wildest, or wildest, which is just an awful name and immediately makes me think that this product is going to be garbage, but anyways, they're selling this 3,745 piece build of the Jedi Temple from the Star Wars prequel trilogy, or are they? For starters, this isn't the Jedi Temple from Star Wars, as the box clearly states that this is the Jedi Temple from the popular MK Stars franchise. But that's hardly the biggest red flag here. After a little searching, I found at least one other company, Mold King, selling the exact same product with a different logo. But wait, there's more. After a little further digging, I traced the original image back to this CGI render of a fan build posted to Reddit. Yup. Unfortunately, fake LEGO companies steal fan designs a lot. The original builder has several more images on their Flickr page, and they show off the massive size and impressively detailed interior, which is far better than the version shown on Amazon. According to the designer, this set would cost anywhere from $500 to $700 to build, but the price tag on these ripoffs is much lower. On top of that, many reviewers of this on Amazon claim that the set doesn't even come with all of the right parts. Yeah, this is a rough one. Now, another intellectual property that's been endlessly ripped off is Spider-Man. Everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood web slinger is a prime target for scammers and has led to some of the funniest knockoffs I've ever seen. As one example, take a look at this Street King set from a company simply called Brick. This set is designed for ages 6 and up, so I guess it's the same level of complexity as the Ninja Saga City set, but this one comes with a whopping 23 pieces. And it also features a handsome appearance, though he is wearing a mask, so it's kind of hard to really tell. The final build is actually identical to the image on the box, well, except for the minifigure. According to one advertisement, this is what you're supposed to get. However, after dumping out the box, this is what you're actually presented with. The same company also gave us this nearly identical machine battle alarm set, which is equally as terrible. Out of China, we also got the Blackley Terminator under the Spider Superman theme. According to Google Translate, this 133-piece build will, quote, develop intelligence, inspire potential, and make children grow up with happiness. This same company also gave us this slightly smaller version, as well as this other spider jet, with what looks to be a version of Green Goblin. Additionally, I was able to find this Spider-Man Big Fig, which is the only time that Spidey has ever appeared in this scale, albeit as a fake. While Spider-Man might not have an official Big Fig variant, a few of his foes do. If you want to learn more about LEGO's history with Big Figs, click here to watch this video next, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more LEGO videos.